This could take the whole hour. Are you sure you want to ask this question?
Of course.
Yeah, it was concluded in my eyes as well, and Lily's eyes. We wrote it as a very elegant structure, which was dialectical in nature, and it was resonant with ideas of birth, life, death, and thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and these things which we wanted the story to be in a triptych for a reason. Like many stories are just long and they split them up, but Matrix was designed from the beginning like a piece of music or a philosophical argument, and it had a really beautiful elegance to it, and we loved it, and we thought that was it. It was done, and you know, every year Warner Brothers would ask us to make another one, and every year they would drive truckloads of money up to our house and say, "You could have this." And we said, no, not interested, not interested, not interested. And it never was interesting to me as an idea of trying to continue it. And then something really hard happened in which both my parents got ill, or my dad first got ill, and my wife and I went home to take care of them, and we were really close to them, and also a good friend also died in this very short period, a friend of my wife's, and it was just this constant grief, and my dad died, then this friend died, then my mom died, and I didn't really know how to process that kind of grief. It was really, I hadn't experienced it really that close. My grandma was really hard, and then I knew my dad was getting sick, and I kind of, you know that their lives are going to end, and yet it was still like really hard. And then my brain has always reached into my imagination, and one night I was just crying and I couldn't sleep, and suddenly my brain just exploded this whole story. And I couldn't have my mom and dad, and I couldn't talk to my mom, and yet suddenly I had Neo and Trinity, arguably maybe the two most important characters in my life. And it was immediately comforting to have these two characters alive again. And it's super simple, and you can look at it and say, yeah, okay, these two people die, and okay, bring these two people back to life, and oh, doesn't that feel good? Yeah, it did. And it's simple, and this is what art does, and this is what stories do, and they comfort us, and they're important. And I was very non-judgmental to myself. I was like, hey, I know intellectually, oh, so elegant, Matrix, so elegant, I love it. But it was so comforting, and they were back in my life, and then I asked Lily and if she wanted to do this, and she wanted to process her grief differently. And she was in art school, and she was on a different path, and she didn't want to go this way to process her grief. But, the story evolved, and I told my wife the story, and she said, oh my God, you have to make it. And I was like, Matrix, can't go back there. And then I asked my friends, and my friends were really the sort of decision-making process that helped me say, okay, yeah, let's do this. Mm-hmm. And these people are really the reason we went back and did it again.
Yeah, it's Matrix Resurrections. So we have this in the title, what you just explained, and Neo and Trinity are dead in a way, and in the end, to say it that way. So in the trailer, we saw that they are there. And the question is maybe strange.
Did we?
I don't know how far you can go to answer this question, because it's always strange to say a word like real in the context of Matrix, of course.
Ganz genau.
So, but maybe you can describe a little bit the main idea, because time is changing a lot. We are living right now in a very different world than 70 or 20 years ago concerning all these things like fake news, fake reality. So maybe Matrix is an answer to that development?
You'll see in December.
Yeah.